TakeTalkPics.com. I'm Rob Cougar. This is episode 68 with photographer Seth Lowe.
Yeah, like you get like mad about stuff that no one else even seems to notice. And you're like, what's wrong with me? Do I need to go to counseling? What's wrong with me?
Today's featured guest is Seth Lowe. Seth, are you ready to share with Photoworld today?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Seth is a lifestyle and portrait photographer based out of Peoria, Illinois. His portrait work always seems to host a unique perspective of his subjects. Seth, welcome to Take Talk Pics.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Can you share with Photoworld a little bit more? Because I've definitely not told them hardly anything about you or your business.
Yeah, so like you said, I do mostly portrait and lifestyle photography. I love working with real people. Kind of a back behind the scenes motto I've had has been real people, real life. So I love, kind of connecting with salt of the earth people, blue collar people, and just photographing them and being able to kind of tell a story and let people enter into their world through a single image. So that's kind of my focus and my goal.
Real people, real life.
Yeah.
That's so good. I got to write it down. I love it. Speaking to that end of just kind of having a mantra or a quote to live by, that's kind of your background thoughts, that it should be genuine and authentic in that way. Yeah. Do you have something, a quote that you've heard or a mantra you live by to keep your business motivated and moving forward?
I guess probably the only one is me and a couple other friends that are all involved in the photo and video world our just saying is get shit done. And so we have these coffee mugs that we just all, matching get shit done coffee mugs. And that's kind of like kind of our focus, really.
It's a more intense way of saying just do the work, which is a good book out there.
Shut up and get to work is kind of the meaning of it, No one cares what you say. It's all about, let your work speak for yourself. And that's kind of what drives me.
Yeah, nobody cares what you're capable of if you don't have any proof, Yeah. So get it done and start building up that portfolio, that background of clients, whatever you have to show yourself, do it.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. Get shit done. Go Photoworld, do it. You can turn off the podcast now and just go do it. No, listen.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when we're trying to get all of our stuff done, I'm going to hold off on the severe words. But when we're getting stuff done and we're working through our business, there's good times, there's bad. Can you recall a bad one, a failure moment, something where you had to learn the hard way?
Yeah. So when I really started my business a few years ago, I kind of knew what I wanted, and I had a decent little bit of a portfolio together. Like a lot of the images were, still images on my site and in my book right now. And I was living out in California, and I decided to move back to Peoria just to, be with a lot of friends and family back here. And I felt like really good about the work that I had and what I knew, and I felt pretty confident as a photographer. But what I didn't really anticipate was how hard it actually was to get work. And then when you did get work, how much capital it took to produce a job, and then how long you had to wait to finally get paid from the job. And so I kind of jumped into it pretty green. I mean, I'd assisted a little bit and been on some productions and stuff, but nothing really major. And so I jumped into it without a lot of business practicality, just kind of high hopes and no money. And, it lasted for about 3 or 4 months before I got a few jobs here and there, but definitely not enough to make a living at. And I kind of crashed out after about 6 months of that and ended up working as a graphic designer for about a year to kind of, get my life finances level and kind of rebuild my business and save up a little more for a second attempt.
Yeah. So when you're looking at starting out, and like you said, you went into a little green and kind of maybe even a little blind to what the reality is and what it takes. Can you share what sparked your interest enough to actually start photography the first time as a career?
This sounds kind of lame because I don't think it was a direct attraction to the art of photography as much as it was. I've kind of been I like to find my own way my whole life. And I grew up, my dad was self-employed, ran a little construction business. And as a kid, just everything, we wanted to do, my dad was very much figure it out. That was kind of his answer to everything. So I started playing a lot of music, and that was kind of just my intro to the creative realm. And eventually I got kind of fed up with playing in a band with 4 other people and depending on them to, get their act together and hustle. And so I just kind of started looking for other outlets. And my family actually bought, like, remember when Dell hit it big, like in 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my
Dude,
family,
I'm getting a Dell. I remember that.
yeah, totally. So they had this deal going where Dell had this thing where you, like, buy this epic computer with like 32 megabytes of RAM, and you'd get a free 1 megapixel digital camera. And I was like, so my mom bought the computer, and I just swiped the camera, and just taking stupid pictures of nothing that no one would ever care about. But I'd never really taken a picture before in my life, and I was like, I think I was like a junior in high school or something. And I was just really fascinated by how you could kind of tell a story in your own way, in your own, being able to change the perspective of something. And so I think it was more like the ability to tinker with something than necessarily like, the artistic value of photography at that point. Because I had zero interest in it at that point. Like, it wasn't like I saw some, Avedon print or something and was inspired, or, the only knowledge of photography I had at that point was this like guy, and I grew up in a really small town, this guy in town that shot weddings. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what photographers do, and I didn't care about that. So it wasn't like I want to be a photographer. It was more just kind of this path of being able to find my own way, do things my own way. I've, like working on my own projects, and photography has been an art form that's allowed that to happen.
Yeah. It's nice not having a boss every day.
Yeah.
And then it's also a little dangerous, especially when you're starting out, because you're your own boss and you got to hold yourself accountable, drinking out of that same mug, realize that's the problem,
Yeah, totally. It's brutal, but I think really my ultimate goal was just to not work for anyone else.
Right. I think I knew I was driven by photography a little bit more than just the needing to be self-employed, but that was a big part of it, because I wasn't a horrible employee or anything, but I think I had like 14 or 15 jobs between high school into my early years of college. Like, that's like 5 years. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's probably up there with you.
Yeah, I was just going crazy. I couldn't deal with, it's like I had ADD or something, couldn't deal with the attention span of sticking to one thing, clocking in every day, and even stuff that I enjoyed. So it was just difficult.
Can I say though,
You bet, yeah.
I think if you're starting out, or even if you've been doing it for a while, there's definitely no shame, I think, in working a job while you run start your career, run your career, or whatever.
Right.
I mean, in all honesty, I think like it kind of brings a lot of stability to your life that you do kind of need, and it's really hard to. I think it's really hard to find yourself creatively and through image making if you right out of the gate are 100% dependent on it to live by. And if you can make some money somewhere else and spend a couple of years experimenting and really exploring the different channels and styles and kind of areas of photography, I think it'll benefit you down the road. So definitely, like, if you're starting out, don't be embarrassed or afraid to have a full-time job. I mean, I did it for like the first 2 years, and I think it's absolutely, like, I can't think of the right word, not detrimental, but what's the opposite of that? You might have to edit that.
Super important.
Yeah, it was really
just,
important.
I don't know how to get to a good enough word for it, but I mean, Photoworld, Seth brings up a good point, and it kind of also helps you understand the level of dedication you'd need. If you're willing to work your full-time job and then still nights and weekends or whatever you have time-wise, put that into your photography and play a little bit, learn a little bit, build up that portfolio, maybe even book a few jobs. If you can balance that and make it work and you're still excited about it, then you're getting a taste of what photography business is all about. It's all the back-end work going into it.
Yeah, totally, because, I mean, working nights and weekends, that's still going to be there when you become self-employed, but you're just going to replace the 40 hours you spend somewhere else with doing 40 hours of more photo stuff.
Right.
So
marketing, editing, blogging, anything you can.
Yeah.
So
driving errands, everything.
Right. And
I'm amazed at how much time I spend in a car as a professional photographer.
Yeah, I think I put somewhere in the vicinity of like 50,000 miles on my last car, like in 3 years or something. It was insane.
It's not hard to do.
It goes quick. So wow, we're getting like off the questions, but I think a lot of great stuff is coming out of it. No, it's fine. That's what I want, and that's what I love. I think Photoworld gets a little bit better taste of your insight to the business and to the world of photography But when you're looking through your process, start to finish, either making a picture or working with a client, is there one thing, one important piece that stands out that happens during every process of start to finish with a job?
That's hard to answer because I think every job is so different. And then there's, personal work is again so different from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one kind of thing I keep in my mind is shoot for yourself, even on a paid job. And that doesn't mean don't please your client and don't do what you absolutely need to deliver the image that they need and they're hiring you to do. But I think it's really easy to when someone, especially when you're starting out, when someone's paying you, whatever you're getting paid to shoot a job, to forget that they hired you because they liked your vision and your work already. And they're hiring you again to bring your work and your vision to their thing. It's sometimes I think it can be really easy to like get hired to shoot something and then you worry about, well, this is how their last person shot it, or this is how another similar company or person shot something similar. And it's really easy to stray from your own your own creative vision. And I think if you can remember to shoot for yourself, you'll be a lot more creatively fulfilled and your client will be happy as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad you bring it up. Don't ignore what they want completely, but you have to be reminded of the passion you have and the reason you're doing this, or at least approach to begin with. And it's because you see something that others don't, or you're hired because you see in a way others don't. So utilize that strength and put it to the furthest ends and see if you can do something a little bit even more than you would expect out of yourself. Really push yourself, That's a good point to bring up and really helpful. So when we're running our businesses, I don't know about you, I have a million bad habits that I do. I'd love to break them all, but I'm not asking for everything you do. Can you bring up one bad habit you would love to get rid of?
Man, it's kind of hard to pick just one.
Right.
I don't know if this is necessarily a habit, but more of maybe a personality trait or an attitude trait. But I'm really learning the difference right now between confidence and cocky. And like cocky people just like totally like put me off. Like I stay as far away from anyone that's remotely cocky, and I don't want to ever be perceived as cocky. And I think out of that, I've like lacked confidence because I don't ever want to seem like, oh yeah, I can do that. I don't know. Like I can do whatever you want. I'm awesome. And so I think like I fail to come across as confident sometimes in portfolio reviews and, when I'm bidding jobs. And I'm just trying to break that like personality trait and walk into something and learning to walk the line of like being confident and like really letting someone know that I am capable and I believe in myself, but without coming across as like some douchey photographer.
Right. Those really overconfident, which is just cocky and arrogant photographers out there. They kind of rub me the wrong way too. It's like I'm talking to myself here for a second. So it's interesting. Like, I'm always out, just like everybody else. You go out on the town when you have free nights or whatever, and you meet people, you talk to people. What do you do? Well, it always comes up, right? Yeah. And every time I have to tell people what I do, I'm a photographer, Oh, wow, that's cool. That must be amazing. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. I like brush it off like it's not a cool thing. It's not even worthy talking about. And my girlfriend steps in all the time. Oh, he does this, he does that. And she like talks me up for me. And then I feel even worse. I'm like, I'm so totally lacking confidence that, somebody else has to do my dirty work for me, my marketing, I guess. But I understand it. Like there's a fear of coming off the wrong way because you're too full of yourself, even though all you're doing is saying, yes, I do understand what you're looking for and I can deliver that correctly, so.
Yeah, totally. And I think, it comes back to believing in yourself and being true to your vision. If someone, again, if someone's hiring you, they want your vision. They want to know that you believe you can execute that for them.
Right.
So yeah, that's just one of my goals is learning to be a little more confident in myself. So.
I think we might have touched on a few ideas that would really help to this point, but can you think of another one for the wide range of listeners we have out there? Seth, can you tell us one thing you think would lead to growth and success in a photography business, regardless of their current level?
The biggest thing for me, and I think this has been true from the start and will always be true, is to not sit on projects or sit on work. It's really easy to like critique your own work so hard to the point that you don't show anyone and you don't share it. And I think sharing a project that's not perfect is better than never showing never showing like an unfinished project, you know? So like sometimes it's better to go ahead and push something, maybe even a little early, and let people see it and show like what you're doing, what your vision is, what you're capable of. And letting people connect with that is a lot more important than only turning out like one perfect project every like couple of years, because people will forget that you even exist in between those like ultimate perfect projects.
Right.
And on top of that, like no one's perfect and no one knows like a lot of the back end like problems that might have happened on a project. So like, you know, something that might not be perfect to you would be awesome to someone else. So I think just being persistent in sharing work, even if you're a little nervous about it, and just letting people see who you are and what you're doing is really valuable.
For sure. Something you'll hear in the blogging community a lot is content is key. And it just
Yeah.
really relates to keep putting something out there. Doesn't have to be amazing, doesn't have to be perfect or mind-blowing or earth-shattering information. Just put something out there, you know, and
Yeah.
keep it going. When I started this podcast, I started talking to a lot of other people who do podcasts and what downfalls that they have and problems that they have starting out. And they're like, well, my biggest problem was I just kept trying to make it awesome and amazing, and then I never put anything out there, and it didn't
Yep.
happen. I didn't publish for a year or 2 years, and people just sit on it forever. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's not happening to me. I decided in January, I'm going to do a podcast. By April, I put up, episode after episode, and it's been consistent 3 days a week. I'm not the perfect podcaster. Half the time I feel like I'm not doing great, but it's just about
You've seen
getting
a
it
lot
out
of
there
growth, I'm sure, from that.
and doing it. Yeah, just doing it. So get shit done, right?
Yeah. No,
It all
read,
comes back to that.
You know who Seth Godin is?
Mhm.
Blogger, writer. I read one of his books, the Icarus Deception or Perception, something like that. And the premise of the book is it's not art until it ships. Like art, art is connecting with people and sharing and inspiring others. So if you're not putting your stuff out, it's not art yet. It's not.
Right.
It's not art when it's sitting on your hard drive or in your living room or on
It
your.
only really exists when other people know about it. So
Yep, exactly.
that's a good idea. That's a good way of thinking. And I gotta take a look at that book, so I'll get that link
Yeah,
from
it's
you or
pretty good.
something, because that sounds awesome. So I don't think there's only one, but there's these times when these light bulbs go off. Things kind of, hit us in the right way. We decide, it's time. I'm going to try that, and all of a sudden things start changing for the better. I call those our aha moments. Can you recall one in your career that you had an aha moment that changed everything?
I don't know. I think one would probably be when I realized that like I could shoot my own way for clients and I didn't have to totally, bend like worry like in this fear of, oh my gosh, I hope they like this. Oh my gosh, I hope they like this. But I could just be myself, do my own thing, and deliver on who I was, and not all these false expectations I would play in my head of what I should or shouldn't be shooting for them. That was a big one. I don't know. I'd like to say there was one, but I think it's just a lot of kind of like a little things here and there that I pick up along the way.
Right. And I think that's the progress of most photography, or, if you want to call it art, or if you want to call it some sort of commercial business, whatever you want to refer to it as, it's the same thing every time. You just keep learning along the way. Something didn't work, try something better next time, or change things up, and you'll adjust and grow.
Yeah, totally. I guess another one would be, I think one thing I really struggled with out of the gate was, I would read an interview or hear something or watch an interview, whatever, of some photographer I liked or that seemed successful, and like their ideas would be like, oh man, I'm going to try to figure out how to do their ideas and make it work for me. And that doesn't really get you that far, because everyone's business model has been adapted to what their photography is and their vision is and where they live and all this stuff. And so I think try not to take on other people's what's successful for other people as like guarantees. And again, just kind of staying true to yourself and slowly like taking little pieces. Like, take 10% of what I say today, and if, at best, and apply it to how you grow your business. But like what's worked for me is not going to work for anyone else. And I can't even depend on it to work for me again in the future. Right? You constantly have to be kind of looking forward and kind of cutting your own path.
Realistically, Photoworld, if you take one thing out of today, and apply it realistically to your business, it will make an improvement. You know, there's proof in the pudding. There's proof in your history of clients and what you've done that they can apply a few of what you're saying. Like, even if it's just get away from that cocky mentality and walk that line of confidence and just portray that a little better, or get shit done. You know, I mean, there's so many good little nuggets today that they can pull away from. But I want you to dish out one more, and maybe it'll be something you've heard. Seth, can you recall a time that you heard like the best advice and you applied that to your business?
Some advice that I live by is like, probably it can be discouraging at times, is there's definitely not a quick way to the top. And the quicker you get there, like probably the shorter lived the top is going to be. And I think just having patience is something that's been driven into me for a really long time. And having work that shines, 50 years from now is a lot more important than locking down cool clients, the first year into your life. I think that's something that people around you will value a lot. And I think that it's a lot more fulfilling life to live as an artist. 20 years, I hope I hit my stride in 20 years. I don't want to hit my stride.
Sounds a little fast. I don't know. I just,
I don't want to hit my stride and be the cool thing at 30.
There's so few spaces available in that realm where they can rise to the top quickly and stay there. I mean, come on, think of all those songs that we hear and we're like, who is that by? It's that one hit wonder song, It's like, oh yeah, they did that. Whatever happened to them? You don't want to be that person. You don't want to rise to the top quickly. And it's more of a marathon. Those first 5 miles are going to feel okay because you're prepared for this. But then you go to the next 5 and it gets a little harder. You go to the next 5, it gets even harder. And you keep going and going. You're just getting burnt out quickly. The people who push through that and persevere are the ones that are going to make it. The ones that get too burnt out aren't. So realize it's a marathon and don't, wait for that time, but be ready for that time.
Yeah, totally. I think also like the more you take your time with it, again, the more you'll develop your own vision that has a lot more value, both artistically and financially, to your business over the long haul. And I think just building a true foundation visually and artistically is absolutely invaluable and much more fulfilling than shooting cool stuff and trendy stuff that's popular on Instagram for as long as Instagram is popular. Yeah.
Yeah. And Photoworld, just to remind you here, a couple things that Seth is saying, and I wanted to piece it together, put stuff out there, be very fast paced about that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't sit on it, get it out there. But at the same time, don't expect a fast rise to the top, be in it for the long haul. So a lot of content, a lot of work, a lot of practice along the way over a long period of time will probably equal success, at whatever level you're thinking. So
totally. And I think luck happens to the prepared. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really easy to see, from a controlled perspective of someone's blog, like their rise to the top is like, oh man, they did that and this happened and that's so lucky. But there's no such thing. I mean, luck isn't like random. It's not lightning strikes. It's definitely like good opportunities come to almost everyone, but not everyone's ready for it.
Right.
It's the people that are truly ready for it that like where you see luck actually happen. Yeah.
Look for those opportunities and then jump on it, So Seth, just to lighten it up a little bit so we're not freaking everybody out thinking there's so much to do and so long to be invested in it. Do you have an app or an internet resource do you think Photoworld could benefit from knowing about?
One of my favorites that I've started to use, I only have 2 posts on there, so I've really just started to use it, is Stellar. I think that's been a really cool way to kind of share stories and kind of just connect and share what I'm doing in my life and some of my experiences and tell stories a little bit better. So it's not like the most popular social media app out there, but it's definitely a pretty cool one.
Yeah. We actually just heard about that not too long ago on the show. And I think that's the second time an app has been recommended twice on the show. So I'm glad we're finally getting to that point in this show where, things are overlapping.
Yeah.
I wondered when that was going to happen. So, and this is episode 68. I mean, we're pretty far down the line.
Yeah, that's good.
But very cool.
And I just bought this thing called Moment Lens for my iPhone, and that thing's been pretty awesome for doing portraits on my iPhone.
Moment Lens. That's kind of cool. Is it an attachment or is it an app or?
Yeah, it's this thing. Well, they have an app, but it's this thing that like sticks to your iPhone, and then it has a little screw-on 60 millimeter portrait lens.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet.
They have an app too, and it's pretty cool because it gives you the UX is really cool, and it gives you a nice control over focus and exposure independently. So it's pretty, and it saves your iPhone images as TIFF files.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice. Well, I'm going to have to check that out, but I'll definitely have it on the show notes page for you guys, Photoworld, and we'll have Seth's other links, his social media and his website, so you can follow along in what he's doing. We're about to wrap it up. A couple last things here. Can you tell us about an upcoming or a recent project that you've had that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of one actually right now. I went out to northern Wyoming for almost a week back in May and followed along with some sheep herders and cattle branders across the countryside. This was like not dude ranch at all. This was just straight up real American cowboys. So just shot photos and portraits out there for like 4 or 5 days, some landscapes and stuff like that. And so I'm working right now. I'm finishing up a lot of retouching, and I'm doing creating a magazine out of the images, and then I'm going to try to do a book. I'd like to do a second trip out there this winter. So yeah, I'm right in the middle of that, and it's just been one of the coolest things ever.
Nice. When you get the book, we'll put the link on your show notes. There's another way for people to find it.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So very cool. I think you put, did you put a couple on like Instagram or something? Or?
Yeah, I've kind of been posting like some not like really B-roll images, but they're images that aren't going to be in like the final edit yet. I haven't posted any of those, but definitely some just stuff as I'm going through. I saw
a couple things and I was like, this is pretty neat. And it looked like a totally different transition of what I'm used to seeing from you lately with the lifestyle portraits and things like that. So
yeah, it's definitely a little more of a, kind of a fine art personal piece. So,
that's awesome. Well, before we wrap it up today, first of all, thank you. But can you share with Photoworld one parting piece of guidance, and then the best way that we can reach you, whether it be your website or social media or something like that?
Yeah, I guess just to recap, I would say just be patient and find yourself. That's, anyone, if you get into photography or whether it's graphic design or video or whatever you're doing, I think you're here because you wanted to share how you see the world and how you think and how you respond to situations. So don't lose that, and don't worry about giving it up for the sake of building a quick business. So just be yourself and let people find that and find what's great about that.
And then where can they find you or follow along with what you're doing?
I'm kind of an even mix between my Tumblr blog and Instagram right now. So I have a website that's going to be getting updated here in the next couple of weeks, pretty heavy overhaul. But for kind of just day-to-day stuff and a mix of my portfolio and, behind the scenes photos and everything, I would say Instagram and Tumblr are pretty good. And those are both just Seth Lowe photo tag.
Very good. And we'll have those links on the show notes page for you and for Photoworld out there to find you and follow along. But cool. Seth, I cannot thank you enough for your time today and sharing such great value. Photoworld thanks you and happy shooting.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Photoworld, thank you for being here. And I always love talking about books, and I love reading to educate ourselves. I think it's very important that we do so. If you're interested in getting a new book, a free book, an audio book, hello, we love audio. You're listening to a podcast. If you want a free audio book, I can help you out. Go to taketalkbook.com. You will receive one free audiobook and 1 month free subscription to audible.com. takeandtalkpics.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we really appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you share this with your friends and photo family out there. We'll see you next time. This is Rob Kruger. Happy shooting.